What is going on? This is Donald from the Yankified broadcast, as brought to you from the Pinstripe Chronicles Network. It is a pleasure to bring you a Friday Night Lights edition of the Yankified podcast. How is everyone doing in the chat? What is up to everybody in the chat? Looking forward to discussing another exciting week of Yankee baseball. And, I didn't know what was a couple of days ago. I wasn't quite sure if there was anything to talk about. But then, of course, our intrepid owner had to talk and piss us all off collectively. So once again, just like last week, I've got to say, I love the smell of bullshit in the morning. And that is what Hal Steinbrenner brought, more bullshit. And I'm going to break down every last word of the stuff that he had to say. Every last word, I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to break it down. Because there are a lot of things said and unsaid by what he said. And that's why you'll need me, who has a degree in bullshit reading, to decipher this. Because it's not good news. I think we can all safely say this is not good news. What he said was really not good news, and I think only the over optimistic would say that there was much to be optimistic about by what Hal Steinbrenner's comments were. They were not good. They weren't even smart or intelligent. I have to say, it's like, who's his PR guy? How is he allowed to say this stuff? It's just odd to me. The way he runs his business, I find odd. I do. I really find it odd. I really find how he runs this business very strange. Because what is his raison d'etre for owning the Yankees? Inheriting the Yankees from his father. What is his raison d'etre? What is his ambitions here? What is it? Because I'll be honest, I am not clear with it. I'm not clear what his ambitions are. Is it to win? Because the way he acts and the way that he has self-imposed a hard cap to a hard cap that doesn't exist says to me that it's not about winning. Is it about giving profits to your family members? Now that is something I can buy, because that is something that's happening. So, like, what is his business model? And I'll be interested to see what folks in the chat have got to say. What is his business model, and how do you guys feel about it? I know how I feel about it. Now I know I don't speak for everybody. I know there's some people that are cool with it. I'm not. From someone that, lived the George years, I know how he ran his business. But he didn't just run it like a crazy fan. Part of it was, yeah, he was a fan. He wanted to win, but he also cared about his fans. Because you know what's really good for business? Especially if you're running a sports franchise. And this is, believe it or not, guys, this is like breaking news here. Do you know what's really good for business if you own a sports franchise? Winning. Winning. Yeah, winning is very good. Winning's good for your bottom line. Trust me on that. Caring about your customers, just in general, whatever walk of life you are, whatever business that you run, whatever business you're part of, caring about the people that, give you a salary, which happens to be your clientele, is good for business. And I am not sure if Hal cares about that, because I guarantee he doesn't give a flying shit about what us fans have got to say about the way he runs his product. I don't think he cares. I'm pretty confident he doesn't. Because he said a lot of dumb things in the past and he's never walked them back. So this most recent is just another recent example of it. So here we are once again. And I'm just not confident as to how he runs his business, because is this a sustainable model? The way that he runs it, this hard cap. I don't think it is. Are the Yankees forward thinking? Because guess what the Dodgers are? The Yankees could actually learn a lot from the way the Dodgers are running things, but they don't, and that confuses me. So let's say hello to those in the chat. Still early, but still people hopping in. I'm hoping. What have we got here? We got Sean Browning. Hey y'all, give us a third baseman, dude. I know, man. I'm waiting every day for my third baseman to come through the mail, and it's not happening. And I'm starting to get a little bit anxious about it. You know, thinking to write into Amazon and UPS. Where's my third baseman? Jacob Petruzzi. Donald, my God. Jacob, my guy. Salute, man. Dev, what is up? Good. Thank you for joining, man. Thank you. John the Beagle Dad is making pork loin for dinner. That's what I'm talking about. Love that. Stevie B. What is up, Stevie B? How are you? Thank you for hopping in. And what is up? What is what? Jonathan. He cares about making money, not winning. And I think that's it. I'll tell you what I think the model is. I think the model is make the playoffs and call it a crapshoot. I think that's their model. I think that is their business model, and I'm not seeing anything that tells me otherwise. So let's break down his comments because there's a lot to break down. And so here we go. Let's go with the most contentious one. Okay? This is Steinbrenner speaking on the enormous expenditures the Dodgers have made, right? And I'm going to bring out the world's smallest violin for when Hal Steinbrenner is talking. Okay? Right, here we go. The violins and the collective crying from Yankee Universe is starting in the background. And here he comes. Well, look, it's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things that they're doing. Now we'll see if it pays off. They still have to have a season relatively injury-free for it to work out for them. And it's a long season, as you know. And once you get to the postseason, anything can happen. We've seen that time and time again. Thank you, Hal. World's smallest violin, bro. Okay, stop crying poverty, bro. That's the first thing I've got to say. But in all seriousness, here is the most damaging aspect of what he said, right? And I repeat it again. It's difficult for most of us owners, to be able to do the kind of things that they're doing. Most of us owners. How is trying to put the Yankees back to the middle of the pack by saying that? The Yankees are not like every other organization. They are not. They're not even like the Dodgers. The Yankees are on their own playing field when it comes to revenue and value of an organization. They're valued at about $7.5 billion. Clearly the most in baseball. They made last year, top of my head, about $700 million. A clear $100 million better than the Dodgers, who actually won the World Series last year. So they are actually making tons more than the nearest organization. Yet Hal Steinbrenner is talking like the Yankees are part of the middle of the pack. He's talking as if they're a small market organization. Oh, it's difficult for most of us owners. Right? You're not wrong. It is difficult for most owners. But the of us is the problem here. Because you're putting yourself in there. That's the problem. Who else is picking up on that? I want to make sure that everyone in the chat is picking up on that. Why did he say most of us owners? It's like he's putting himself as part of the middle of the pack. He isn't. The Yankees are on their own path. He needs to start realizing that. And that's the problem here. You're not the Oakland A's. You're not the Chicago White Sox. You earn unbelievable amounts of revenue, more than every other organization, including the Dodgers, and you're talking as if you can't even reach for the Dodgers. No, I'll tell you what's happening. The Dodgers are running a better organization than you are. That's what's happening. And it's absolutely incumbent on Yankee fans to not buy this bullshit. Don't let him off with it, because I won't. And it's important that everybody watching this doesn't buy into it either. It's very, very important, because he is putting his organization back in the middle of the pack. That's the problem. You can't do that. You can't put the Yankees back in the middle of the pack. The Yankees are too important. Too important an organization. Donald, make yourself bigger. All right. You asked for it. There you go. You happy? You happy, John? You happy? Okay. So that was my biggest takeaway here, is that he's put the Yankees back in the middle of the pack. It's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things that they're doing. Yeah, it's difficult for 99% of the teams in the baseball. I'm not arguing that. But you are actually part of the 1%. You are the one that's giving yourself a hard cap. Make no bones about it. You are the one that's restricting the Yankees. Not the Dodgers. The Dodgers are not restricting the Yankees. The Yankees are restricting the Yankees. Now it's time to own it. Now the next sentence. And this I also find extremely nauseating, because I feel that it's actually it's also tone deaf. One, this next bit is incredibly tone deaf. It's also wrong, and it makes me very uncomfortable because it's a little bit of bad juju here. Listen to this next bit. They still have to have a season relatively injury-free for it to work out for them. And it's a long season, as you know. And once you get in the postseason, anything can happen. So, and this is why I mentioned at the start of the episode, you've got to read between what he's saying and what he isn't saying. What he's actually saying is the postseason's a crapshoot. That's what he's buying. That's what he's buying it on, and that's the way that he runs his Yankee business model. It's a crapshoot. That is basically what he's telling you. Okay, so he's basically going to start. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, he's gonna be like, "Well, I told you, it's a crapshoot," because that's the way that he's run the Yankees. Every time the Yankees get kicked out the playoffs, every year under his ownership, it's the same thing. It's a crapshoot. So that's the way he runs things. Now, this is what I had a problem with. They still have to have a season relatively injury-free for it to work out for them. That makes me absolutely certain that Hal Steinbrenner hasn't watched a minute of Dodger baseball, apart from the World Series. Because that is just flat out incorrect. There is absolutely none of what he just said there that is actually factually correct. Because if you look at the way that the Dodgers had to endure a lot of injuries last year, but they still overcame it, especially to the pitching staff. Because guess what? They had depth. They overcame their injuries. They overcame an injury to Shohei Ohtani. They overcame an injury to Walker Buehler. Ohtani was playing with one shoulder in the World Series, but it didn't bother them. They have the depth that they could withstand the injuries. And now they've just only gone and made the team even better by adding Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki to join Yamamoto, plus Tanner Scott, plus Kirby Yates, plus everybody. They just want to get better. They want to continue to get better. So they're not having to rely on hoping to avoid injuries. That was a really damaging comment from Hal Steinbrenner. It was very, 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 very bad, very wrong. Because first of all, do you know which team is actually the most reliant on being injury free? It's us. That's what's wrong about it. It's actually us. Because the Yankees have no depth. The Dodgers have a ton of depth. We have none. Zero depth. We don't even have a third baseman at present. Don't let Yankee propaganda, and I know it's out there because they want to try and make this an interesting product going in March, but the Yankees don't have a third baseman at present. So talk about lack of depth, right? I mean, one injury to your outfield, and you're going to ask Grisham to basically play all three positions now because they don't have a fifth outfielder. And Grisham only plays center field. Who's going to play left or right? They don't have an infield. They don't even have a backup catcher. What happens if, God forbid, Austin Wells gets hurt? What, you ask Rice to play catcher, even though they moved him to first? That's what I'm talking about. Like, what are they going to do? Estrada? What's their plan? Considering they're hard capping themselves. It wouldn't be an issue if their owner wasn't hard capping them, but they are actually hard capping themselves. So talk about being reliant on being injury free. The Yankees are trying to trade their sixth starter, which is at present Stroman. What happens if any of their starting five gets hurt? Who's coming in? Warren with his 15 ERA? Good luck. So talk about lack of depth, guys. Jeez. Did you see what happened when Aaron Judge got hurt in 2023? What happened? Oh, the Yankees started scouring the waiver wire and playing a bunch of journeymen to try and make up the numbers. And they missed the playoffs. Because they have no depth. Because of Hal Steinbrenner's budget. And because of, let's not forget, Brian Cashman's misallocation of resources. So I'm not buying this anymore. And it's absolutely incumbent that those that watch this episode come away with this realizing that there is an element of bullshit that they serve us. And we need to rise above it because this is wrong, man. You can't have your owner saying, "Oh well, if the Dodgers stay injury, see if the Dodgers get injured, then they'll go right back to the pack." No, that's not correct, and it's bad juju as well. I don't want to wish injuries on another organization. That's nasty business. How about doing what the Dodgers do? Having a bunch of depth. What is the Yankees' depth? And by the way, the Yankees farm system is rated, and the New York Times is down to 21. 21st. So we don't even have that great a farm right now. So that needs to be built back up again. So we don't have great depth. Dodgers have a ton of depth. Dodgers want to get better. The Dodgers want to make their fans happy. Hal Steinbrenner seems to want to do the complete opposite of all of that. So that's what I have a major problem with, are these comments. It's so tone deaf. And it downplays the significance of what the Dodgers did last year to the Yankees. I keep seeing, oh well, the Yankees beat themselves in the World Series, and that is true. But if you listen to the way the Dodgers spoke after the World Series, they were very confident they were going to win anyway. So the way the Dodgers played in the World Series, it was, you know what? If you guys beat yourselves, all the better for it. And that's what happened. Because we completely fell apart. And by the way, nothing is changing. And that's another thing. So the Yankees seem incredibly content with things. That was another major takeaway I took from Hal Steinbrenner. They're incredibly content because they're wanting to extend Aaron Boone. Fine, if you want to extend Aaron Boone, I mean, whatever. But it is odd that the manager who made a huge deciding error in Game 1 of the World Series that cost us Game 1 of the World Series. That's actually the priority of the coming weeks. Not building up the depth, not getting a third baseman. It's actually talking to Aaron Boone. Wasn't he the manager that oversaw the complete collapse? Wasn't he the manager that was in charge of one of the worst fundamental teams I've ever seen in my entire life? I'm pretty sure he was the manager of that. So, what a weird narrative. Like, they just seem incredibly content with things. And I'll tell you what, man, I guarantee if George, well, I hate saying it, but it is true. If George was listening into Hal's comments, dude, I hope George haunts Hal in his freaking dreams and his sleep. That's what I hope. Because that's nasty work. What an awful way to run George's business. And it is important to compare. John the Beagle Dad, George would have beat the shit out of Hal. It's true. I hope he slaps him silly while he sleeps. Honestly. Imagine operating your business like that. Oh, I really hope. Well, let's just hope the Dodgers get injured, is basically what he's saying. Oh, we get to the playoffs, it's a crapshoot anyway. So that's what he's saying. Oh, it's really hard to do what the Dodgers are doing. No, it's not. George did it. Spend some money. It's not that hard. You're the Yankees. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And that's what I find really fascinating is the way that he runs his business. So it's interesting. Jonathan has the comment earlier saying it's all about making money for him, right? And not about winning. And I agree with that. But when you think about it, how is Hal? Oh, so before you slip, how is Hal running this business? Because it's not even that good. Because they don't even have the Japanese market anymore. They haven't brought in a phenomenal Japanese player since the mid-thousands, right? The late thousands. They haven't even brought in a phenomenal Japanese player. And all I hear from the New York media is, well, New York isn't that close to Tokyo. Well, it wasn't a problem for Matsui and it wasn't a problem for Tanaka. So there obviously is something that the Yankees aren't doing right. We don't have the international market anymore. Okay? So for a businessman to lose a massive continent of finance, that's bad business. And I want people to listen to that. That is bad business. If you're a businessman and you've lost an entire continent's worth of resources that are desperate to, I'm talking Asia, the whole of Asia, not just country, Asia. The continent of Asia is not interested in being Yankees right now. They don't bring in any Koreans. They don't bring in any Japanese. They don't bring any of that talent in the building. For whatever reason, they have missed out on that. That's not good business. That's terrible business, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone will disagree. But Japanese players don't seem to want to play for the Yankees, as Jonathan says. Okay. Why is that? Why is it all because they're in New York? As if New York is a bad place to be? New York is the center of the universe. It always has been. New York is the business capital of the world. It's the media capital of the world. It's the Yankees. I mean, my God, there's movies about the Yankees. There's freaking everything about the Yankees. The Yankees transcend the sport into pop culture. My God, even the English language has quotes from Yogi Berra. I mean, basically, the Yankees are just absolutely in the framework of society, if you look at it. In the dictionary, there's yogiisms. Babe Ruth. I mean, he isn't just like a legendary Yankee or a legendary baseball player. He's baseball. So the Yankees, the Yankees are just absolutely interwoven in popular culture, in society, everything. That's the business that he's inherited, and somehow he's made the Yankees unappealing to play for. How has he managed this? It's almost a gift. I don't know how he's done it. So Japanese players don't want to play for the Yankees. He offered Juan Soto $760 million, and Juan Soto turned him down to go play for the lesser team in Queens that no one cares about. Jesus. I mean, my God. So he's not doing a very good job. If you're talking about business, he's not doing a very good job because they don't win anymore. When was the last time they won? 2009? So, I mean, so he's inherited a business that doesn't win, that aren't having players beat down the Yankee doors to try and play for them. They've lost a huge market over there in Japan, and it's almost a gift to lose out on all this. My God. And now no one talks about your Yankees anymore. Everyone talks about the Dodgers. The Dodgers, who earn $100 million less in revenue and are valued considerably less than the Yankees. Yet everyone talks about the Dodgers. My God. That's just a fact. There isn't anything hyperbolic. There isn't whininess. There's just straight facts coming here, guys. And I'm astonished that Hal is cool with this. He's inheriting something very important from his father. And I think he's cool just treading water with it. And for me, treading water is going backwards, especially in business. So I think it's a shame, really, because it is important to talk about the way that George ran the show over there. Did you guys watch Bernie Williams on that podcast? He said that he was at an impasse with Brian Cashman, so he just called up George himself, and George was like, "Right, what do you want?" "Well, I'm looking for Mike Piazza's money." "Right, I'll call you back in an hour and a half." Done. Call him back in an hour and a half, and then he spent his career as a Yankee. That's how good owners run a sports franchise. John Bazzini. Hal simply wants to be competitive and profitable. Does not have the huge hunger to win it all. Beautiful point. Exactly. So, I mean, listen, I don't want to be talking about George Steinbrenner. I really don't. But guess what? Hal is the one that brings him up. Hal is the one that's bringing all this up. Because he's talking about crying poverty with the biggest franchise in sports. Give me a break. So, I mean, how do you think that George ran the show back then, man? He went and signed Reggie Jackson to help win the World Series in 1977. He went and just did what was required. 1976. In the 1977 World Series, Reggie batted like fucking 500 and helped win the World Series for them. That's good investment. When was the last time that Hal has made a crazy, huge, absolutely unbelievable investment? When? Re-signing Aaron Judge? Well, I mean, that should have been done anyway. It should have been done years prior. So, I mean, I'm glad that he did what needed to be done, but at the end of the day, that's just terrible business anyway, just letting him even test free agency. You could have extended him years prior. He was wanting to talk, and the Yankees had this stupid rule that they don't discuss contracts mid-season. So you could have gotten Aaron Judge at a much cheaper price than you ended up having to pay him. And you almost lost him. And that's on Brian Cashman. That isn't really on Hal Steinbrenner. And Brian Cashman still managed to antagonize Aaron Judge and make him test free agency. So I can go through every aspect of this and point out that the Yankees are not a good business model. And so, well, Garrett Cole was a good one. I'll give you that. Garrett Cole. But he is a Yankee fan. So you played on that. Good. But I can't think of any after that. When was the last statement signing the Yankees made? Statement signing. Oh shit, it's the Yankees. They're back. When was the last time they made that? When was the last time that they jumped on a market? And that I can tell you when. It was 2009. Mark Teixeira. They weren't in on Teixeira, but then Teixeira's market cleared up and they were like, shit, this is a great opportunity. Bam, we'll go get him. That's the last time that they read a marketplace, saw that there was a discount coming, and then they pivoted and made the move. That's like what a proper organization does. When is the last time since then they've done that? Because guess what? Most recent example is right now. Heck, the example was the free agency where Bryce Harper was sitting there. Bryce Harper said he would have been the ball boy for the Yankees. And the Yankees didn't make a call. But, I mean, this most recent example, I mean, Alex Bregman is just sitting there. Alex Bregman is sitting there at home. He's going to sign a contract for less than his worth, and the Yankees are going to sit and let it go. Jeez. Imagine that. Heck, another example, Pete Alonso. Sitting there without a team. Someone that's going to give you 45 home runs. I'll tell you what, that would make the Yankees a hell of a lot more interesting than they currently are. But they don't want to do it. They don't want to go the extra mile. Jonathan, Harper wanted to come and they passed. Exactly. Players don't want to be a Yankee like before. Yep. Sean says Max Fried is a big, oh my God, Yankee signing. Fried Rodon. Rodon, nah. I don't agree with Rodon. Dude had an injury history. They needed a starter. I don't think it was that much of a crazy, oh my God, signing. Fried, they wanted to invest after losing Soto. So I don't even think that's much of a barn burner signing either. It's been said many, many times, the Yankees' worst enemy is the Yankees' front office. Well, that's a good way of putting it, because another way you look at it going is, well, if the Yankees are hesitant to spend, right, and the Yankees have this hard cap, then why don't they allocate their resources better? You know, for instance, why did they take on $50 million for Josh Donaldson, which they didn't need to do? Why give Aaron Hicks a crazy extension? Why sign Stroman at all to this contract that they can't get rid of now? Talk about misallocating resources. Right. Rajil Gray. Bingo Dong, why don't they allocate resources better? Aaron Hicks is still getting paid this year. Stroman, right. How about the bad extension to Aroldis Chapman? The second extension, that was a mistake. The second extension to Anthony Rizzo, that was a mistake. The 6-year deal for DJ LeMahieu, that was a mistake. My God. If you want to, if you're so tied to a certain number, then why don't they reallocate the resources better? So now we're talking about this year, right? The Yankees apparently have hard capped themselves at 301. Okay. They don't have a third baseman at present. Whose fault is that? That's not Hal Steinbrenner's fault. It's actually Brian Cashman's fault. Because he hasn't allocated the resources to fit in a third baseman. You're relying on Stroman's contract being moved in order to try and make any further moves. That's both their faults. I mean, it's insane that that Hal continues to treat that as a hard cap. The worst thing that's going to happen to you by going over that cap is that you pay double the tax. That's it. Nothing else is going to happen to you. You're not going to get arrested. You're not going to be fucking sent to Guantanamo Bay. Nothing's going to happen to you. Your organization's not going to implode. You're just going to pay a little bit more. Instead of paying $10, you pay $24. It's basically that on a smaller scale, right? You pay a little bit extra tax. No one else seems to give a shit about it. The Mets don't. The Dodgers don't. Why do the Yankees? They're hard capping themselves. They've basically handcuffed themselves to the radiator for no reason. Embarrassing. You're the Yankees. What are we doing? Jesus. It's just disgusting. It is frankly disgusting. They say they can't go for a third baseman because of Stroman. Well, who the hell gave him $18 million to begin with? Along with an option. Thank you. Amen. And to be honest, $18 million isn't even that crazy a contract. But by the way, Max Scherzer just signed a contract for 15.5. So you're asking a team to go and pay $3 million more for a considerably worse starter. But okay, it's still not a great contract, but it's definitely not unmovable. But the problem is the free agent market right now is F-U-C-K-E-D fucked. And so there isn't a hell of a lot of movement going right now. There's dozens upon dozens of free agents still available, and we're now in February. Pitchers and catchers is right around the corner. So it's a bad market. And the Yankees have now announced to baseball that they have a hard cap and they can't bring in a third baseman and they can't bring in any lefty relievers and they can't bring in any bench players until they move some of Stroman's contract. How many teams are going to willingly eat $18 million of that contract with a team that's so desperate? Talk about a terrible business model. That is a terrible business model. Who is going to enter a trade with a team that desperate? If I were a GM of another team and I willingly ate $18 million of Stroman's contract, I would fire myself. Real talk. It's freaking ridiculous. The Yankees have announced to all of baseball that they are completely hamstrung, that they've arrested themselves, they've handcuffed themselves to a radiator, and we can only do movement now until we start moving off of this contract, this $18 million contract. Now, the other team in this trade's going to be like, right, okay, well, I'll tell you what. How about I just eat? I'll eat maybe a quarter of it. You're going to suck it up, right? And then the Yankees will balk. And then you'll say, well, you're welcome to fish the rest of baseball and see how many teams are going to willingly eat $18 million of Stroman's contract. There won't be that many, I can guarantee, if any. I can guarantee. Stroman is a depreciating asset. He eats innings, but they're not quality innings, and he can't pitch the second half of the year to a high standard. It's been going on for years now. So good luck getting a team that's wanting to eat $18 million there. So you'll do well to have a team eat any more than a quarter of that. Let's be fair. Terrible business. And the Yankees have hamstrung themselves. What the Yankees should have done, if they were so tied to this stupid budget, is they should have been like, right, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my resources into bringing in a free agent that's going to hit 30 plus home runs, 40 home runs, whatever. That's my resources in terms of offense. So most recent example, Christian Walker, 20 million per. I signed Christian Walker. That is now a very good replacement for Soto. He's now um, Aaron Judge's protection. Putting those resources in there, and I'm going to focus on a third baseman that's just more about defense, getting on base. Maybe I'll just pick up Birdie's contract. I'll just pick up Birdie's option, right? And then you've got yourself your infield sorted, right? They could have done that, and that would have been fine. But they didn't do that. They went cheap at first, and now they don't have a third baseman. And then, of course, because GM Judge has to go and campaign for Cody Bellinger, we ended up doing the Bellinger deal. But we're eating a lot of that contract. So once again, took us to this hard cap. Weird way to run the business, man. If you're so tied to this, weird way to allocate resources. But I mean, it's not realistic, really. It's not realistic to do everything the Yankees needed to do and still be stuck to this hard cap over Stroman's contract. It's disingenuous, actually. Really, let's be fair. It is disingenuous. What's Pete got to say? I felt Walker and Bellinger were keys to the offseason. I agree. Watch Aaron Judge become... Dude, he is already the GM! It's freaking insane. Campaigning to keep DJ LeMahieu in the organization. Why? Because he's your friend? Fuck out of here. How about Aaron? How about focus on hitting on October? You've not done that since your career started. You're now 30. How about focus on hitting in October? Let the GM do the GMing. Focus on hitting a baseball. Because you can only do it in the summer. You can't do it in October. Focus on that. Jesus Christ. Aaron Judge and friends. How does he have so much power in this organization? He's not won anything. Oh, Lord. Anyway, CWE. We can only hope Volpe Dominguez Wells has a big year. I agree. Absolutely agree. That is absolutely key. Pete, some good comments here from Pete. I hate to say it, but Hal is worse of an owner than John Mara. I don't know about that. At least Mara cares. Okay. I can't even see Hal as caring about wins and losses. I mean, I think Hal's better than Mara. Mara is just destroyed the one of the most historic franchises in the NFL and made them a laughing stock, and then doubles down and triples down on it. I can't even find a comparison to John Mara's moves if he were like to the Yankees. It would be so, I mean, I think it's bad. But I don't think Hal's nearly as bad as John Mara. But it ain't good. It's an embarrassing way to. In fact, they're quite similar because John Mara has disgraced the organization from Wellington, and Hal is doing a very good job disgracing the organization from George. But Mara is the worst owner in New York, period. Oh yeah, that's absolutely exclamation mark locked in. So let's say Pistol Pete says Woody Johnson is worse. Yeah, Woody Johnson's bad, but I mean, in fairness to Woody Johnson, he has tried to bring in the stars to the Jets. It's just unfortunately the Jets are the Jets, and it still goes wrong. I mean, money is no object for the Jets. Money is very much the object for Hal. Rajil, it sucks being a Giants fan. It's just been awful. It's just been awful. But luckily, we've won some championships to help ease the pain. But it's embarrassing right now. Make no mistake about it. But let's have a look and see what the news is in our next segment. And this is a really interesting post on X. So big shout out to Yankee Slut at Yankees Light. This is a really good breakdown of what is wrong with Hal Steinbrenner's mindset. As Yankee Slut says, Hal Steinbrenner's mindset is a window into a dying empire. So we've broken down his comments, which are disgusting. So anyway, this is some really good stuff here. Steinbrenner frames the Dodgers' investments strictly in terms of how they relate to their 2025 championship odds. And it's this framing that offers insight into the trajectories of the respective franchises. This is exactly what I've been saying. The Yankees' concern primarily is year to year. That's true. Spending up to a certain threshold produces a threshold of revenue for the year, after which point further spending produces diminishing returns on average. The immediate ROI of a championship would justify the higher spending, but the odds of a title in an isolated season are not worth the risk. But the Dodgers, on the other hand, are focused on optimization and branding, which they have now commanded by taking over the Asian market and taking over the free agent market. They are very much they very much have a forward-thinking vision. The Yankees are thinking year to year profits, breaking even and giving the proceeds to the rest of their family, whereas the Dodgers are thinking there is a window here in which we can become a dynasty. There is a window here in which we can catch up to the Yankees in terms of value and possibly even overtake them. Because look at this. 11 division titles in the last 12 seasons, 4 pennants, 2 titles in the last 8. Right? They've now made their destination very appealing. Well, the Yankees have won 0 since 2009, and now their destination isn't that appealing, even though they play in New York, as I'm once again the media capital of the world. And they've made, somehow, New York is now not that appealing. Are you kidding me? New York should be appealing. So, I mean, again, look at this. Really interesting. There's a big tourism increase. The massive input from the Japanese region. Massive increase in regional merchandise sales. The Dodgers' investment is smart. And they're building a multi-decade horizon. Very good point. Which I believe threatens to eventually pass the Yankees in valuation. I have to say this is an excellent post. So I think that's exactly where we're at with Hal Steinbrenner. So big salute to Yankee Slut for that, because that really breaks down where we're at with Hal Steinbrenner. That's the way they operate, because even look at their moves that they made this year, right? Max Fried aside, if you look at the way that they've built this offense, it seems to be very much based on a year-to-year basis. Like, they haven't even brought in a first baseman that has any upside. Goldschmidt is like almost 40, for Christ's sake. There's no upside to this move. It's a $12.5 million deal just to fit under the Hallery, I'm going to call it the Hal Steinbrenner tax threshold. So it's tied to that. So they just signed someone that can get them under that. And it's a year-to-year basis. So next year, once again, they're going to have to look for a first baseman. And that's the way that they've operated for a long time. If you look at some of the moves the Yankees have made, it seems to be just kind of on a year-to-year basis. I mean, Bellinger isn't even a massive commitment. It's like basically a prove-it year for him. So a lot of this offense is just going to be a year-to-year thing. It's a weird way to run a baseball team. And it's something I find incredibly disagreeable. So let's go further into this, because, I mean, let's look at some of the moves that the Yankees have made over the past that have been budget conscious. Once again, just kind of kicking the can down the line for another year. Chris Carter, top of my head, Holiday, bringing Tulowitzki out of retirement. And once again, you get the shills and you get the PR telling us that these are great moves. Josh Donaldson, bringing back Aaron Hicks, despite Aaron Hicks staring at the baseball in the outfield like it was a golden orb from outer space, to allow multiple runs to score in a key game. Brought him back. So, I mean, the Yankees are operating a very strange business model. And the Dodgers are running a very, very, very smart organization. They've cornered a massive market. They bring in Japanese talent on an annual basis, the best ones. And a bonus to that is the weather and LA. But the Yankees aren't taking advantage of the fact that they're in New York. What a waste. It isn't hard to run the Yankees. It isn't hard to run the Yankees. Believe it or not, it wouldn't be that hard to run the Yankees. How about just, if you're at a point where you're missing a third baseman, how about you just go and sign that third baseman, whoever it is? Let me deal with the finances after, is what Hal Steinbrenner should say. So once again, let's get into more news on X, because there's a lot of stuff about the Yankees, and it's, for me, nothing good. Nothing good. Let's have a look and see where we're at with more news. There's some good stuff here. Joel Sherman. And this is, once again, right here. The Yankees might need to eat $13 million of Stroman's money to move him and use the $5 million to sign a lefty reliever. Credit to Bobby Malone on that. But that's on from Sherman on the Michael Kay show. So Sherman goes further. $370 million total payroll with tax, right? But here we go. There's a lot of mouths to feed. Lots of children and grandchildren are working for the Yankees, and Hal is taking care of all of them. It's a family business now. Wow. The mom and pop Yankees. Great. It's not about winning, guys. It's the mom and pop Yankees. Also, big credit to Kevin Kiernan. I recommend you guys check out Ball 9. Kevin Kiernan's article is absolutely fire. The apple fell far from the tree. There is no other way to explain the comments of Yankee owner Hal Steinbrenner, George Steinbrenner's son, about the Dodgers' dollars dominance. Kiernan goes to town on it, and it's very, very smart. And once again, breaks down where Hal is coming up short here and embarrassing himself. So shout out to Kevin Kiernan and Chris Vitale, friend of our channel. Chris Vitale does a great job with Ball 9. Shout out to Jeff Passan for keeping it real. Alex Bregman would be a great fit for the Yankees, and it's wild to him that they're not in on him at this point. Dude, preach. As once again, Joel Sherman, once again, doubling down on the Yankees budget. Love Jeff Passan's stuff here. And I think more credit needs to be given to Jeff Passan. And this is exactly my point. If the penalties are so tough, then why are the Dodgers and Mets doing it? At the end of the day, these are the New York freaking Yankees. If a luxury tax threshold is holding them back, it says more about where they are as a franchise than it does about the luxury tax itself. When have the Yankees ever played third fiddle in baseball to anyone? Exactly. That's exactly where they are right now when it comes to spending. Preach, Passan. Thank you. Unbelievable. Just just insulting as a Yankee fan to read that the Yankees are hard capped. So there are some news. Chance Nolan has been signed to a minor league deal. Former Oregon State quarterback. Great. Well, I look forward to that not working out. Francis Lee, the legend of NYYU. He's right about this. Can't lay this at Marcus Stroman's feet. This is a much larger organizational problem. What about the $15 million DJ makes? What about the $15 million they're paying Rizzo and Hicks to not be on the team? Facts. Or what about the fact that there isn't a salary cap and the Yankees can spend as much as they really want to? Right, true. Blame Cashman or Hal if you need a scapegoat. Exactly. Why is Stroman at fault for the fact that he signed a contract that the Yankees gave him? Unbelievable. The Yankees were the one that gave him out. Stroman didn't have a gun to Cashman's head saying, pay me $18 million a year and give me this dumb option for 140 innings. Ridiculous. Credit to Bobby Malone. This is very interesting. This is now multiple people have the Yankees 21st ranked system. Let's look at this. The Yankees system took a bit of a tumble in these rankings since last year after graduating standout rookies catcher Austin Wells, right-hander Luis Gil, and making trades for Jazz Chisholm, Mark Leiter, which is a disaster, and Devin Williams. At the same time, it wasn't a great year for prospects who stayed in the system. Spencer Jones didn't progress. Chase Hampton was injured. And I think that was more clustered bad luck than anything systematic, and only Jason Dominguez is expected to graduate in the first half of 2025. I'd expect the rest of the farm to appreciate this year, but as it stands, they are ranked 21st. So that kind of flies in the face of Hal Steinbrenner saying that they have a proven record with prospects. I mean, that's nonsense. Just once again, more lies, guys. More lies. Mid-ass rankings. It's a mid-ass team. Jonathan, Yankees need to rebuild the farm. Yeah, that's what they're planning on doing, and I think that's why they didn't want to sign Christian Walker. But I'll tell you what. I don't know what the Yankees' priority is. Because if the Yankees are playing like they have a chip on their shoulder, according to Hal Steinbrenner, then wouldn't they want to go all in? Wouldn't Christian Walker be the move? But according to Buster Olney, ESPN, and is it Castillo's article, he says that that they were interested in Christian Walker, but they didn't like the penalties attached. So that's why they went with Goldschmidt, because there was no penalties attached. So you have to choose a direction. If the Yankees are all in, you have to bring in the best talent. You can't just settle. Are they a team that wants to rebuild their farm, or are they a team that wants to go all in? Because you can't really do both. Let's be honest. It's very hard to do both. I am not sure what the Yankees' vision is. John the Beagle died. The Yankees have no clear vision. Exactly. That's my point. I'm not certain what their vision is. Because guess what? You've got Aaron Judge, you've got Stanton, you've got Garrett Cole, you've got Max Fried, all in their 30s. You got Williams on a one-year prove-it deal. You've got Bellinger on basically a 1 year. You've got Goldschmidt on a 1 year. So you've got a bunch of guys on 1 years, or you've got a bunch of guys that are in their 30s. You've got a bunch of guys that are win now. You've got a bunch of guys that are win now. And the Yankees are not fundamentally going all in. That's where there's a weird Vision issue. I'm not sure what the Yankees' vision is. Wouldn't you be thinking, you know what? Maybe they need to go all in here, and they need to acquire a top of the line bat after losing Juan Soto. You would think they would have done that, but they didn't do it. What's the vision? And then Hal made the comment that he said that, and this was another thing that just drove me insane, where Hal Steinbrenner said that he feels that Goldschmidt and Bellinger will go some way to making up for. Oh no, he didn't even say that. He said a good bit, which is even worse. He said that Goldschmidt and Bellinger will go a good bit to replacing Juan Soto. Only to the ill-informed. Only to the pom-pom wavers. Only to those who don't know baseball. I'm sorry, that's the truth. All Hal Steinbrenner comes across as is someone that is a part-time Yankee owner. That's what it comes across as. Because if he really knew baseball, he would know that that's a ridiculous thing to say. There is nothing in, even the most optimistic fan could think that those two guys are going to go a lot towards replacing Juan Soto. What an embarrassing thing to say. My God. Did you watch last year? So let's clear it up. Let's make it simple here. Bellinger's F4 was 2.2. Goldschmidt's was like 1.3. So in total, that's a win above replacement of 5. 3.5 is what it is. 3.5. Not even close to what Soto's is. Soto's was 8. Soto's WAR was 8. So you would need, holy crap, you would need about 4.5 of Bellinger and Goldschmidt to make up for what Soto did last year alone. I mean, that's just even the statistics. You're not even talking about what Soto did to that locker room last year. Like, he galvanized that locker room. He galvanized the locker room that's far too nice, far too acceptant of the day-to-day. Oh, win to win, the loss is a loss from Mr. Captain here. A very friendly locker room. Juan Soto brought in some fire, some balls, some cojones, some cockiness, and a refusal to lose. So that's irreplaceable. And the Yankees haven't replaced it. Goldschmidt had an awful year last year. Bellinger had a very mediocre year last year. That's not going to replace Soto's freaking season last year. What an insane thing to say. Insane thing to say. Here's what he should have said. Soto is irreplaceable. However, we have focused on the margins. We've focused on improving base running. We've focused on improving defense. And we're also planning on our young guys to take the next step. And listen, they're not going to be able to make up, the two guys we brought in aren't going to be able to make up Soto's numbers alone. But we feel if everyone else takes a big step forward in their game, then we'll at least be thereabouts. And we're not done. We still have room left to bring in another bat. If he said that, no one would have complained. But the fact that he said Bellinger and Goldschmidt will go a good deal towards replacing Soto, only someone who has never watched a game in their life would say that. Or only if you watched the game back in 2021 and haven't watched baseball since then, would you say that. Goldschmidt is almost 40. He had a 98 OPS plus, which is below average. Come on. Soda's was like 170. Jesus. I mean, I don't know, man. It's concerning that my owner is this tone deaf. John the Beagle Dad. Judge is becoming a laughing stock. Tell you what, man. I'm the only person on this channel, but I really am getting sick of it. I don't like GM Judge. I'm really not feeling GM Judge, but you can't really say anything about Aaron Judge because he's basically a made man. He's untouchable. But all I'll say is, people that have achieved more have gotten a lot less run in this organization than Aaron Judge. So, but that just shows how standards have changed. Dev says there's another crash in Philly. I don't know the details, Dev. I did come across that in the news. It's probably best that I don't go into details. I have no idea. But rest in peace to, or prayers to the people that are affected. John Beagle Dad, they're not a fundamentally sound team. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've managed to hard cap yourselves and you're still a position short. And if that is true, that Joel Sherman is saying that you're going to need a team to eat 13, a team's going to need the Yankees to eat 13 million of 18 million Stroman just to leave 5 million for a bullpen arm, and they're just going to leave it to Oswaldo Cabrera to play third. I don't want to see anyone wave pom-poms for that, because that is a disgrace. And by the way, our job as fans is not to be parading the Yankees budget. The Yankees should not put us in a position where we're like, oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, 300 million is a lot. We shouldn't have to pay any more than that. Give me a break. If the Mets are happy to do it and the Dodgers are happy to do it, then so should the Yankees. And the thing is, Michael Kay is part of the problem, because I listened to a bit of the Michael Kay's show, and the first sentence that came out of his mouth with regards to this Hal Steinbrenner stuff, where he says, Yankee fans are incredibly judgmental about Hal Steinbrenner. It's just not fair. They are incredibly judgmental. Let me be clear. I don't know who Hal Steinbrenner is as a person. I've never met him. I will never meet him. So I have nothing against him as a person. Thus, I am not judgmental about Hal Steinbrenner, the person. I don't really care. He seems like a lovely man. From everything I've heard and seen, he seems like a lovely man. But all I'm going by is his record as an owner. That's all I care about. As a Yankee fan, I'm holding him to his record as an owner of the Yankees. And for me, it's treading water. And you're letting other organizations bypass you. That's the only standards I'm holding him to. I don't have anything against him as a person. So it's stupid to say the Yankees are judgmental on Hal Steinbrenner. Unless he's saying that he's angry that fans feel that he's cheap. I don't feel he's cheap, but I think there's middle ground there. Nor is he win at all costs, and nor does he really care about what the fans think. So that's all I care about. As a Yankee fan, I just want the best for my team. I want my team to live up to its lofty ambitions and hold them to the same standards that they hold themselves. Because all I've always said in this podcast, I'm just going by what the Yankees are telling us. Right? The Yankees are the mecca of baseball. Brian Cashman said that. I never said that. We're all in. No surrender. I didn't say that. Brian Cashman said that. Hal Steinbrenner said There's no one we can't buy. We can sign anybody we want. I didn't say that. He said that. So why am I and the fans the problem, Michael K? Why? Why? And I'm saying this to the Yankee organization. Why are we the problem for holding you to what you say? You're the ones that are saying this shit. I'm too long in the tooth, and I've seen you guys say this stuff for the last 15 years, and I don't buy it anymore, so I don't listen to it. So it's not our fault. You're the ones that keep saying this. You're the ones that are saying that you're the fully operational Death Star. Right? So wait, we as fans have to limit our aspirations for this team and also ignore everything that you tell us. Then how is that? How does that make sense, guys? So wait, they say that they are the fully operational Death Star. Stay tuned. We can sign anybody and everybody we want. They say all this stuff. So then later on in the offseason, when they handcuff themselves to a reasonable contract that they can't move because he's a depreciating asset, and then willingly play multiple positions short going into the new season, and then we call them out on the things that they're saying that we're the fully operational Death Star, they call us the problem. I call bullshit. That's the truth. Cruise control. Emmanuel Rivera, 28-year-old third baseman, was DFA'd from the Orioles today. Hits lefties well, plays third base, Cashman target. Probably only gets $1 million. Well, we're going to have to get creative from the looks of things. Thanks for that, cruise control. John the Beagle Dad, nothing really to look forward to. I mean, the Yankees are the one that are limiting our own expectations, and it sucks. When are you going to learn is lip service to the fans? Dude, I mean, I've known it. I've seen it every single year. And that's why I don't accept it. That's why I hold them to their standards. Someone has to. I'm glad NYYU does. And I'm happy to be one of those guys too. That just holds them to the same standards that comes out of their own mouths. Rajil the Great, we can sign anyone, ... But salary cap, exactly. John Zini, Yanks have a public relations machine, and people like Michael K are a big part of that. Listen to him always knock the Yankee fan base. Exactly. Facts. I mean, I used to work in retail for like 10 years. Now I've inherited my father's business, right? And it's always been the way that the customer tends to come first, right? You want to do well for your customer so that the customer comes back, right? And I think that's been the way the business has been since since day dot. So Michael K is just sitting there just lambasting Yankee fans. All he does on a daily basis is just lambast us and expect us to willingly just come back on a daily basis. And if we say anything, we're the problem. Unbelievable. And that's what the problem is. Jeff Passan went on his show and was like, Hal's basically, he basically said that Hal is running things poorly. And it's freaking crazy that there's a great third baseman sitting there and he's ignoring it because of a stupid budget, right? He's saying that. I guarantee that if any caller called up Michael K and said that, Michael K would just scream and yell and call us all idiots and mouth breathers and window lickers and all this stuff, all this abuse, because he said all this stuff. That's not fair. It's not fair. Pistol Pete, listen, all he cares is a probable shot and make the playoffs and for you to buy as many chicken buckets this season, if not more than last season. Exactly. That's it. That's their model. This is their model, right? talk out of both sides of your mouth. We could sign anyone at the start of the offseason, but also say this budget is unsustainable on the other side of your mouth. Right? Get your PR guys to come out and say that we are the fully operational Death Star. Right? Then Yankee fans get excited, and then you know what they're going to do? They'll bring in a signing. They'll bring in a signing, right? That's just going to service the Yankee fans, right? To quell the anger after losing another playoffs. Quell the anger, one signing. On this occasion is Max Fried, right? But they'd come out and saying, but then they also say, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. We're the big bad Yankees, right? And then, of course, Yankee fans start paying through the nose on season tickets, right? And then they wait, and then they wait, and then they wait. Weeks pass, months pass, and we're like, I thought you said that you weren't done. What do Yankees do? What do Yankees do? You're the problem. We have a budget. What do you want us to have a $600 million payroll? It's the Dodgers' fault. It's not our fault. Right? So then you go into the regular season, position short. You go into July, and then we're like, oh, well, we're gonna fill that position in July. By this point, other teams are trying to get the same player because they're also trying to compete. And then the Yankees lose that player because they don't want to pay the prospects for that player. So then we get to the postseason. Yankees get knocked out in the postseason, and the Yankees then blame the wind. They blame injuries. They blame bad luck. And call it a crapshoot. And that's it. Once again, go back to the start. And it's the same story every year. And it's been that way since 2010. None of what I've just said has not happened every single year since 2010. And the Yankees think that we all forget it. There's some Yankee fans that are smarter than others, and I'm definitely one of them that calls them out shit for shit. FAP, love it, Yankee fans. Feed me more. Bro, you freaking credit to the Dodgers, man. Because guess what? You guys run your organization properly. You want to make your fans happy, and you want to win. And you're forward thinking. And you're thinking, you know what? If I invest in this player now, that's going to help us in the future. That's going to help us win now, but also help us bring in revenue in the future. If I bring in this Japanese superstar now, we can now bring in further Japanese superstars. To bring in an entire Japanese market that used to wear Yankee hats are now wearing Dodger hats. Now we've got 1,000% more revenue coming from the Japanese market. Because I was saying, I'm long enough in the tooth to remember in the thousands, the people of Tokyo were all wearing Yankee hats. There were no Dodger hats being worn back in the 2000s. Now, fast forward it under Hal Steinbrenner and his depreciating asset, while he complains about budget and complains about the Dodgers and cries about what the Dodgers are doing, the Dodgers have now taken over that market, and now everyone are wearing Dodger hats, and now no one wants to play for the Yankees anymore. Boom. Winning matters. Winning matters. At the end of the day, no one will give a shit about a budget if you are not the last team standing. Well, you know, you've earned coming on here and talking smack. And I have nothing but respect for the Dodgers because I wish the Yankees ran their organization similar. So, salute. You kicked our ass in the World Series. You're a better run organization. You've got better management. You got a better owner. You got better players. You got better depth. You got better everything. And you know what? It's only smart fans admit that. And it's time for the Yankees to be smart and accept it, but they're not because they are very diluted. The Yankees are incredibly diluted. Acevedo, Don, we are the problem. We need to hurt Hal where it hurts, his wallet, not buying or going to games. John Bazzini echoes the same sentiments. Maybe Hal needs to learn the hard way. Stop buying the merchandise. Stop going to the games and stop watching them on TV. Yeah, how many freaking apps do we have to watch the Yankees on? YouTube, Amazon, Apple, the Yes Network, freaking unbelievable amount of apps that you have to pay just to watch the Yankees to play above average. Because that's all they are, above average. It doesn't seem like a great way to spend the money. And it's unbelievable because the Yankees made a ton of money last year. They made $700 million last year. They're getting $15 million from the Tampa Bay Rays that they didn't have last year. Plus the postseason run. And Hal Steinbrenner made it incredibly expensive just to sit in seats in the World Series. It was like minimum $2,000 a seat. Minimum. Just to be there. Right? So they must have earned, give or take, $70 million. Conservative estimate in their playoff run. So $70 million plus the $700 million plus $15 million more from the Rays, and Hal Steinbrenner is sitting there going, "Oh, the Dodgers, we can't do the Dodgers," and then they're holding themselves at $300 million. Which, if they're here's another thing about the math, guys. They earned $700 million in revenue, right, just for the regular season alone, and they spend $300. That is less than half. The Yankees are spending less than half of their revenue. The Dodgers spend at least 60% of their revenue on improving their baseball team. The Yankees spend 40%. That is a massive difference. The Mets make very little money because they don't have a fan base, and nobody cares about them outside of Queens. And they're basically just... They're basically if they weren't in New York, they'd just be a small market team. But they're a bit of a joke franchise. They have been. They're completely irrelevant since like the 80s, and before that, the 60s. Yet Hal's allowed them to become the big bad Mets because he's cool just to sit idly by and let Cohen kind of make big moves. Jeez, it's not a good look. I'm a Dodger out of the womb. Good times and bad. 44 years. Love baseball and hate the Giants. Well, salute, man. Thank you for joining us. I do appreciate it. 44 years. Yeah, well, the Dodgers are on a really good run, man. Pistol Pete, Yes Network makes money hand over fist. That's another aspect. They make tons of money from their own television network. And the Yankees own that network and all the rights and have so much money. And also they're invested in AC Milan. And aren't they? And don't they have NYCFC renting out Yankee Stadium? So you're getting money from NYCFC. You're getting money from AC Milan. So you've got a soccer team, you've got a couple of soccer teams as well. And the Yankees are crying poverty about the Dodgers. The Dodgers are irrelevant to this conversation. They should be. The Yankees should be focused on being the best. If you're making that kind of money, $700 million from Yankee fans alone, not including what you get from NYCFC rent, having a stake in AC Milan, and also getting $15 million from the Rays for playing in your minor league field, and you're holding that $300 million, despite being multiple positions short, using a player as the problem is an embarrassment. It's a horrible look. It's not Marcus Stroman's fault. And the fact that they're treating this as a hard cap is a joke. Make the moves regardless of Stroman. Once they finally shed that contract, it is what it is. You'll pay a little bit more. Yeah, okay. So you pay another $20 million in rev. Big deal. You're getting $15 million from the Rays. Use that. Jeez, Lou. Rajul the Great says he made over $1 billion. Oh my God. Hal has a 10% interest in Redbird Capital, which owns AC Milan, but I think that's Hal's own investment. Right, so they're making money. So that's, again, that is actually flies in the face of this argument. Well, Hal's only business is the Yankees and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not. He's actually got holdings in a major soccer team in Europe. Now you're getting other teams to pay you further, and you're obsessed about a luxury tax? Use that $15 million you just got from the Rays and put that in a third base. What am I saying there that's completely insane? Nothing. If hedge fund owners become the most plentiful number of owners, how will simple multi-million-dollar owners be able to compete with multi-billion-dollar owners? Something has got to change. Yeah, well, listen, this market is going to change. It's all going to change in 2026. But Hal Steinbrenner wants there to be a salary cap. Could you imagine if they salary cap the Yankees? Oh my God, Hal will be delighted. And then the Yankees could be further depreciated as an asset. Because the Yankees are working on a salary cap anyway, their own salary cap. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. If anything, a smart owner would be like, right, well, the business of baseball is going to change in 2 years, because it will. There'll be a lockout. It's almost guaranteed. There's going to be a lockout, and there's going to be some kind of financial implications to what's going on. There will be. I'm sure there'll be a limit to the amount of deferred money that happens. I'm sure there will be a limit to what. Maybe there'll be an even harsher penalty for being a big market team, and maybe there will be a salary floor. I think there'll be some of these aspects that are going to come in, and it's going to take a really good owner and really good management to ensure that the Yankees remain near the top of the pile. And I'm not convinced, because there are no real penalties for the Yankees right now. And they've failed to build a great organization. Consistently. Failed. Year upon year. The Yankees should have the best of the best. They don't. They've allowed the Dodgers to do that. They allowed their best player to go to the Mets last year. It's a depreciating asset. Hal failed at TikTok too. Dude, he has. He doesn't even try and compete with the Dodgers, though. That's what I find fascinating. Just read his comments. Just read those comments that he had. I mean, he doesn't even want to be. He doesn't even want to try and compete with the Dodgers. He doesn't even want to be in charge of a big market team. And I point out a great part of Kevin Kernan's article. And he's right. The only reason you have such a team in the first place is because your father was not afraid to spend the going rate and higher to buy talent that would help the Yankees win the World Series. Say it louder. Because all the Dodgers are doing now are spending the going rate and higher to buy talent that would help their team win the World Series. That's just the simple truth. And if Hal doesn't have the stomach for it, then please move on and find someone who does. It's absolutely inexplicable, the things that Hal Steinbrenner said in this interview, because he expects us as fans to shell out unbelievable amounts of money on various platforms, various apps, season tickets, freaking $200 a pop at jerseys, hats, the whole fucking lot, chicken buckets, parking, the whole lot. It's extraordinarily amount of money that's being asked of you. And you as an owner are sitting there going, but we've got a budget, guys. We've got a budget. And you can't expect me to go over the budget. That's just not fair. Unbelievable. And then he's using injuries, which was stupid considering the Dodgers won with injuries. He's speaking as if the Dodgers didn't just hand the Yankees their ass. The Yankees are valued at $7.55 billion. That's last time I checked, is over $2 billion more than the Dodgers. And the Yankees are crying poverty. It's obscene. It's absolutely obscene. So once again, I ask, if the Yankees have this budget, then why are they so bad with their resources? They've hampered themselves with Josh Donaldson, Marcus Stroman every year. Then I'll tell you what, manage your resources better. Every single point that Hal Steinbrenner makes, I can cut through, because it's bullshit. Remember when they said they were going to have an audit? That's a great point, Rajiel, and that was it. Here's another aspect to how the Yankees are incredibly content with their business model. That business model that I explained to you, where they speak out of both sides of their mouth, they fail to achieve their target, and then they get ousted in the playoffs, and then they blame everybody else but themselves, and then they big themselves up because they'll always say, "Oh, our system is great. We're pretty damn good. It was just the wind. It was just the trash cans. It's the Dodgers spending. It's not fair." They always have an excuse lined up, and they'll never look at themselves. But that's a great point. So when they miss the playoffs, apparently we're going to look at their analytics system, which is so bad it's beyond hilarious, because this is the analytics system that has brought them Josh Donaldson. Because apparently he was better than Gio Urshela, even though Gio Urshela, at a tenth of the cost, had a better year than Josh Donaldson that very year. This analytics system, which is clearly broken under Mike Fishman, the Yankees were going to have an audit. Guess what? Who was in charge of that audit? Mike Fishman. So the problem ended up hiring someone outside the organization. What do you think was going to happen? Nothing. What do you think the audit is going to say? Oh, Mike Fishman, you're a moron. Thanks for hiring me, but you're a moron. You're the problem. That's never going to happen. So nothing happened with that audit, and nothing has happened with the Yankees audit analytics system. So that was great. What did Hal say during the Soto negotiations? He's like, I know it's expected of me, but I keep saying he speaks out of both sides of his mouth. Always pay attention. He said, I know it's expected of me, but he also said, our budget is unsustainable. Guess who listened to that? Juan Soto. Soto's sitting there going, well, if they sign me, are they going to do anything to make this team better? Because this team was ass. So, I mean, what kind of a message does that say? Your owner is like, oh, we're trying to bring in the best player in baseball, but our budget is unsustainable. Oh my God. Does he actually have any other setting other than foot and mouth. Real talk. Jay Snow, just go out and finish the offseason. Get a freaking third baseman. Unbelievable. So when Judge in the regular season became so stand the playoffs and a little bit of Volpe. Right. Yeah, that's exactly it, Reggio. But you can't say that out loud. You're going to get in trouble. But that's the fact. It was the Stanton and Soto show. With Gleyber Torres as well. But the Yankees are treating Gleyber Torres like he was like Krusty the Clown. And they feel that not even replacing that position whatsoever is somehow an upgrade. Whatever you think about Gleyber Torres, I mean, that's a pretty extraordinary thing. I mean, the guy did give you like league average offense. So it's not just Soto's F war they need to make up. I mean, you also need to make up Torres' position. And the Yankees have ignored all of it. And they expect, and then that final point, what did Hal Steinbrenner say? Blanket statement, this team is better than it was last year. That's what he said, blanket statement. He said this team is better than it was last year. I don't know how you could actually say in a blanket statement that this is a better team than it was last year. There's aspects of it that's better. Again, Hal's only default setting is bullshit and foot in the mouth. That is his only setting. Remove the foot from your mouth, remove the bullshit from your mouth, and tell the truth. All you have to say is there are aspects of this team that is a lot better than it was last year. And that's the fact. Our pitching is so much better. Our bullpen is so much better. And there's still room to improve on our offense from a bunch of guys who underperformed last year. We're expecting them to take the next step. That's all you have to say. But a blanket statement, all that is saying, his blanket statement of saying this team is a better team than last year, all that is PR to get people to buy Yankee season tickets and order up seats. He doesn't need to worry about that. Yankee Stadium is a freaking tourist spot anyway. So, I mean, that's so he doesn't need to worry about that. But that was what it is. That's PR. He's just giving you PR. But a lot of that is nonsense. Because I've pointed out the numbers that Soto gave. But it was not just the numbers, it's what he did in the locker room. He brought a fire and a hatred to lose that our manager and our captain just doesn't possess. Because, everyone that's saying that Judge is the greatest hitter they've ever seen in their lives and he's the best hitter ever and blah, 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 blah. Maybe all that's true, but he's not a great leader. Why? Because without Soto, Judge couldn't do it at all. Get them anywhere in the playoffs. He needed Soto. Because Soto has that little bit of balls, that little bit of that love of the big moment. And I don't see that from Judge. He just doesn't have that same, I love the big moment. Get me to this big moment because I will deliver. Soto had it. Soto brought his freaking giant balls to the plate going, you throw this, if you throw one pitch over this plate, I'm hitting it over the ballpark. He had that attitude. Aaron Judge doesn't have it in the big spot. But I know it's not a popular take. I'm going to get ruined for it. But it doesn't matter because it's true. So, John Bazzini, don't know about you, but I hated looking into the Yankee dugout when they were getting clobbered and most of the players were smiling. Not enough fire in their bellies. Exactly. Fact. Another thing. How much did the Yankees celebrate last year? Over nothing. They made the playoffs. They had this big champagne. They had the freaking conga line. They had the whole freaking thing. They had massive parties. This is not your father's Yankees, man. Unbelievable. What did Soto say after? What did Judge say after they lost the World Series? Oh, well, winning was a win and a loss is a loss. They're far too happy to lose. I don't want to see one goddamn celebration from them. Oh, dude, you're gonna have to expect it because they love it. You're gonna see a lot this year. You know, freaking boombox into this freaking New York, the whole thing, jumping around over nothing. Win the World Series, then celebrate. Unbelievable. This is what losing sounds like. Yeah, but it was unbelievable, man. I agree with John because I remember I was in the stands. I think it was the Yankee Met game in the summer. I was in the stands. I was in the top deck, and then as each inning went on, and there was less and less Yankee fans that were watching because the Yankees were getting their asses handed to them. I moved myself right down, and I was at one point I was just right above the the uh, the dugout, and I looked into that dugout, and I'll tell you what, they were just they were just chilling. They were just chilling. They weren't bothered. You know, they were kind of joking to themselves. They had a bit of a smile. They were cool. They weren't even paying attention, and the Yankees were getting completely and utterly rammed by the Mets. And I was pissed. I was raging because I paid far too much money to go to a stupid game where the Yankees didn't even compete in, and I looked in the dugout and I didn't see anyone that seemed to even give a flying F. And I hated that. And I knew it was just a regular season game, but it just reminded me of when I was younger, and the Yankees never had that attitude. No matter what the game, if you were playing the Mets, if you were playing the Rays, these are the teams that George hated: the Mets, the Rays, the Red Sox, the Braves. Those organizations, you weren't allowed to be cool about losing to those in those games, even in the regular season. Heck, even in spring training, there were standards. And when I saw the Yankees were so happy and cool with losing to the Mets, and the game was like 15-5. I can't even remember. It's embarrassing. They just seemed far too relaxed about it. And I knew then and there that the Yankees were never going to win the World Series that year because they're just far too cool about losing. And they're far too pleased with themselves about winning. As you saw with their conga line celebrations after just making the playoffs. Do you know how hard it is to miss the playoffs as the Yankees with the extended wild card? Jeez. Just win a couple games over 500 and you're right in the wild card spot. Especially in the weak American League. And they're treating it as if they'd won the frickin' Super Bowl. Give me a frickin' break, man. John the Beagle Dad, there is no professionalism about this team. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a lack of professionalism. I think I think they're very professional. They're almost too professional. I think they're buttoned up. If anything, they're too buttoned up. And then when it comes to like meaningless milestones, they treat it like it's the biggest thing in the world. I mean, I don't want to see my Yankee team do conga lines and champagne celebrations until they win minimum ALDS, then the ALCS, and you ramp it up from there. You know, that's what you do. You make the playoffs. The most you do is shake hands. Shake hands, give each other a hug. Right? Win the DS, champagne celebration. Cool. CS, party. World Series, fucking, you're going to the middle of New York and you're having a big time party. That's what you do. You ramp it up. You don't just blow the whole fucking wad just because you make the playoffs. Ridiculous. You don't get to celebrate shit until you win a chip. That's right. That would be my mandate. Maybe the ALCS title, I can say, okay, def celebrate. Get into the World Series, but not before. Right. But that's the truth, man. And that's why my title says it all. It ain't his father's Yankees, and it ain't our father's Yankees. John the Beagle Dad, I was sick to my stomach after that celebrating. I knew we were not going to win. How about situational hitting? Does it not seem that the Yankees often had trouble scoring runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, striking out in that situation rather than put the ball in play? Yeah, and I'm looking at this roster as it stands because let's face it, it looks like the Yankees are perfectly happy with this lineup. Who do you trust to put the ball in play situationally? Because they've lost a big part of that to Queens. Who do you trust? I mean, there's a lot of strikeouts in our lineup. So there's not a lot of contact. There's not a lot of on-base percentage. We actually lost a lot of contact. Like Torres, whatever you say about him in the field and base running, which is like his base running was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, no cap, like literally the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anyone that runs the bases like Mr. Magoo. But offensively, he was a contact hitter. He's actually pretty good in leadoff, but he was a guy that worked deep counts and made contact, very rarely struck out. He was a good contact guy. Juan Soto, the best contact guy. Unbelievable. That's all gone now. And the Yankees replaced that with DJ laughing my ass off. What's he going to do? He's going to ground into like 600 double plays. Oswaldo Cabrera can't hit from the right side under any circumstances. Okay, right. What next? Cody Bellinger. We don't know what Bellinger is. We don't know what Bellinger is yet. And anyone who does are lying to themselves. Because here's statistically the facts. Cody Bellinger has had one season since 2020 where he's hit more than 20 home runs. One. He also had a season in 2021 where he hit 10 home runs and bat 160. So we don't know what Cody Bellinger is. So I can't promise that he's going to be a contact guy. I don't know what he is yet. Now, he also struck out 125 times in 2022. And he was also a negative WAR player, which is hard to do considering he's such a good defensive player. But he was that bad offensively that he was a negative WAR player, forcing the Dodgers to move him off to the Cubs. So I don't know what we have in Bellinger. There's as much chance of Bellinger being a flame out than he is being red hot. And GM Judge had to campaign to get him because he's his friend. That's great. Thanks, GM Judge. But honestly, I couldn't tell you if Bellinger is going to be a great contact guy. I hope he is. I like the player. I just don't know. He's very inconsistent, as John the Beagle Dad points out. Another inconsistent player. So then you bring in Goldschmidt. And he's coming off a career worst year. He's 38. At best, he's got another season left in him. I don't know what he's got. I think he's a decent hitter. He's a Hall of Fame hitter, but I don't know what he is now. At 38, he's going to have to turn things around. The Yankees are treating his second half of the year like his first half of the year didn't exist. We have to count both. So I don't know what we have in these two guys yet. If it was 2 years ago and we signed them, I would be doing laps and I would be jumping for joy because I loved these guys a couple of years ago. But they're both coming off horrible years. So I can't guarantee contact with them. Aaron Judge, I don't know why anyone would want to pitch to Aaron Judge because there's not much protection for him. So, and there's really not much depth and there's not much power after Soto. There's not much power at all in this Yankee lineup, actually, apart from Judge and Stanton. Goldschmidt might give you 20 home runs as a 38-year-old. Bellinger, maybe. I'm not sure. Volpe isn't a great hitter. He's not a league average hitter yet. Wells is. Dominguez, we don't know yet. He's a rookie. He should be, but we don't know yet. So I can't tell you. All I can say is this lineup is a massive, massive question mark. And as good as our bullpen is and as good as our rotation is, there's a strong chance we have a lot of 2-1 losses this season. Don, would you play Dominguez in left of center field, which is supposed to be his natural, or center left? Right, I get it. Would you play Dominguez in left or center, which is supposed to be his natural position? I'm going to play Bellinger at center. I don't really have a major issue with Boone putting Bellinger at center field. Bellinger's a really good center fielder, excellent center fielder. I'm cool with that. The defense is going to be very good. It's just incumbent on Dominguez to get a lot of reps in left field. I want him early morning, getting out to the stadium, doing a lot of shagging fly balls over there and left, and getting used to the way that the ball plays over there in left field, because it is different. But I think I'm okay with it. But Dominguez is a much better center fielder than he is a left fielder. But there's a strong chance that, say, Spencer Jones maybe has a really good year in AAA this year, and then you might see a situation where Dominguez plays left and then Spencer Jones comes in center field next year. That could happen. And maybe Bellinger moves over to first if he has a good year, or the Yankees sign a first baseman. But that's looking ahead. But as John the Beagle Dad says, we have a lot of I don't knows. That's it. There's too many question marks in this lineup. That's why you needed to go and put a proper investment on a serious bat, and they didn't do it. I would have signed Bregman. It's insane that they haven't even called him. It's disgusting, actually. It's an embarrassment. Christian Walker was a no-brainer. You look at Christian Walker's year, coming off like a 900 OPS and 30-plus home runs, Gold Glove defense, there's absolutely no excuse not to sign him for $20 million per year. Because we wouldn't be having this conversation had we signed Christian Walker. I'd be like, we've actually got someone who's would more than half of make up for what Soto did last year. And then we're in good shape. But they pass because they're cheap. If Jones finally matures, what does that do to the Yankee pursuit of Tucker next year? That's a good question. We'll have to wait and see. I have yet to see the Yankees actually want to pursue a free agent and give them multiple years of a contract. When was the last offensive player the Yankees have signed in free agency worth multiple years? So even if Tucker, even in a scenario where the Yankees desperately need Tucker, are the Yankees going to do it? Because the Yankees have not done it since they signed in that offseason where they flamed out and signed a bunch of offensive players to, and it all went incredibly wrong. They haven't done that since then. It was like McCann, I think it was Beltran, and of course Jacoby Ellsbury. They haven't actually done anything since then. So I'm not convinced even if Tucker becomes available, the Yankees actually sign him, because the Yankees have a budget and they play cheap. And we've got Uncle Tats. Salute to Uncle T for joining. Uncle T, what has Uncle T got to say? What up, fam? Smack that like for Donald putting in the time tonight. Thank you so much, Uncle T. I hope you're enjoying the show. And I hope you're enjoying your weekend, man. You've earned it. We decided to take a little break just for today. We'll be right back on Monday, I do believe. What's John the Beagle Dad got to say? Yeah. Salute, man. Salute. I like Pistol Pete's comment here. Walker is a considerably better player than Old Schmidt. It's a good nickname. And I agree. I thought it's embarrassing. The Yankees were more worried about draft picks than going and getting the best player available for not that much more. They signed Goldschmidt, who we don't know what we have in him yet, who's 38 with no upside for 12 and a half, where you could have just signed Walker for 20. And then had you done that, had you pushed the boat out a little bit more, then third base is not a big issue. That's if you're thinking ahead. That's if you're thinking steps ahead. Yankees don't do that. Little recharge the batteries. But not this guy. This guy isn't recharging the batteries. This guy's going 2 hours strong talking to our fans. That's it. That's right. And I hope John the Beagle Dad, dude, I hope you're doing all right. I had a bit of a shock, obviously. And I hope you get a nice new dog from the looks of things. So that's going to be exciting. I hope to see the new puppy in the pictures. Oh yeah, you see, I'll have a new one before the end of the year. That's great. That's awesome. Well, not yet end of this year. Cool. Well, we'll be here with you until then. Salute. And salute to everyone in the chat. If you haven't already done so, hit that like button. It's free. And it's easy to do. Just to move that little cursor down and go, beep. That's it. Hit the sub button, hit the notification bell so when you know we're going live. We do have multiple podcasts going on this platform. You got the girls on the Sunday. I will be back with this next Saturday. Hopefully there'll be some positive things to talk about because I am sick of being mad. But I have to call Hal Steinbrenner out because his comments were disgraceful. And it's not acceptable. And anyone who does accept it is part of the problem. Because it is not acceptable for the New York Yankees to play poverty and complain about the Dodgers for doing exactly what you did years before. What did the Yankees do after they won the World Series, I believe, in 1998? After they won the World Series in 1998, what did they do? They traded David Wells, who had like 21 wins that year and pitched a perfect game. They traded him for Roger Clemens to get better. They made themselves better. Boom. You bring in the best pitcher of baseball, probably one of the best pitchers of all time, Roger Clemens. That's what serious organizations do. What did the Yankees do when Aaron Boone, who helped them get to a World Series in 2003, fucked his leg? What did the Yankees do? Oh, they only traded for one of the top 5 best hitters of all time, Alex Rodriguez. Boom. Jumped on the failed Red Sox trade and brought him to the Bronx. Put both middle fingers in the air and said, right, we're going to bring in frickin' A-Rod. That's what a real serious organization does. What did they do in 2009? After they missed the playoffs, a serious organization that they used to be, they went to CC Sabathia and says, right, I know you want to be in the West Coast, but you're going to pitch for the Yankees, and I'm not leaving here until you agree to do so. What's happened? Well, he helped win us a World Series, and now he's a Hall of Famer wearing a Yankee hat. That's what, in Cooperstown, that's what a serious organization does. What did they also do in that offseason? I'll go Mark Teixeira. Why not? We need a first baseman. Boom. That's what a serious organization does. Since Hal Steinbrenner's taken charge, the Yankees have managed it like a mom and pop store. Just look at a break even and the profits go off to their family members. If Hal doesn't have the stomach for the fight, then move aside and let someone who does. Because I am not going to sit here idly as a Yankee fan and accept bullshit on a plate. Because I hold the Yankees to a higher standard than that. The Yankees are part of society. They are. They're a big part of pop culture. They're a big part of everything. They're a big part of New York, most important city in the world, media capital of the world, business capital of the world, frickin' Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, frickin' New York. So good you name it twice, and you can't get somebody to come here? That's on you, bro. Jesus Christ. Let's get some standards back in this building. And that's how I want to finish it off. Let's get some standards back in this building. Let's pretend for a minute that we're the New York Yankees and actually act like it. If you go into this season, into spring training without a third baseman, then shame on all of you. Real talk. And with that, I will sign off and have a great weekend, everybody. I'm going to go visit my mom tomorrow. That's why we did the Friday Night Lights edition of the Yankified podcast. I'll be back with the guys on Monday. I believe the girls will be on Sunday. And I believe there's going to be a new exciting show, as Uncle Tat says. Stay tuned for a new show coming soon for this channel. It's going to be very, very exciting. Exciting things are happening for our members. We're going to have members-only giveaways, and there's going to be things for our subs. We're going to do lots of cool stuff this year. So if you haven't already done so, hit the like button. Comment on this. I know I'm saying some big shit over the last 2 hours, so be free to comment. We do really appreciate your support. Hit that sub button. Every sub and every like helps the algorithm and helps get it out to as many people as possible, because I want the Yankees to pay attention to what we're saying. This is very important. Very important. It's from the heart. I meant it. I mean it passionately. I'm a passionate Yankee fan. I only want the best. There's nothing personal about anybody. I like them all personally. I think Brian Cashman seems like a good guy. I think Aaron Boone seems like a wonderful guy. I think Hal seems like a wonderful guy. But I care about them as a business, being the best business possible. I care about them being a franchise, the best franchise possible. Go and do it. Do it for your dad. Do it for the generations of Yankee fans. Do it for the frickin' city. Be the best. Don't accept being second or third best. With that, salute. Have a great weekend, everybody.